So, child of God, this altar that Anna, the mother of Samuel, prayed in, made a decision. The Bible called it, made a vow unto the Lord. In fact, the vow was the vow of the Nazarene. In other words, the person will be dedicated to God. Razor will not touch their hair. They will not shave their beards. They will be for God. They will be into God. They will be God's property, God's possession for the rest of their life. They will be dedicated to the work of God. Just like Samson, as well as our Lord Jesus Christ. He took the Nazarene oath or vow long before Samuel was even conceived. So this is why we call it the law of dedication, ownership, and possession. Now, God completely possesses Samuel. Samuel cannot do any other thing but to serve at the altar, to become a priest. A priest is somebody consecrated, dedicated, set apart, ordained unto the Lord for the sacred things in the temple. He will initiate and offer sacrifices to God. He will offer offering, offer prayer, minister to the people on behalf of God. In fact, Samuel is amazing because he's not just a priest. He was also a prophet, a seer. He was also the head of the prophetic school, as well as the dean of the school of the prophets. He is also a kingmaker. You know, he ordained and separated unto kingship both King David and King Saul. Now, he's also a kingmaker. He's also a judge before the advent of monarchy in Israel, before King Saul become the first king and David the second king. Now, look at it this way when you come to this law. The Bible says through Anna, when we read the narrative, the story of Samuel's pre-birth, before he was even conceived, the mother said, I will dedicate him to the Lord, first of all. He will belong to the Lord. He will be a Nazarene. So Samuel's faith, Samuel's destiny, Samuel's future, Samuel's glory, Samuel's progress, Samuel's occupation has already been programmed, predetermined, pre-owned by God. Samuel cannot do or become any other thing or any other person. Because of that, God owns him. If someone had attempted to do any other thing, let's say he wanted to be a fisherman or a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or a bricklayer or a surveyor or a lawyer or any profession, someone cannot do that. He would have struggled, he would have had problems, he would have had issues, he would not progress, he will be hindered, he will stagnate, he will hit a brick wall, he will actually struggle and be in hardship because he has not determined purpose, because God has already decided his purpose through the mother who dedicated him to God. And thank God, this dedication was a good one. Thank God this dedication was true or to our Lord God Almighty, who now possesses him by his spirit to do good works for him, to serve at his temple, to serve at his altar, to serve him, to serve his people, Israel, and to judge them, and as well as being blessed as he did that. The mother totally left Samuel in the hands of Eli, who mentored him. Now, child of God, if you take this further, you discover in retrospect, like in the case of Abraham, you know what happened. Abraham lied. He told Abimelech that the wife is the sister. And guess what? You would have thought that God would have punished Abraham for lying. Rather, Abraham was defended. At night, God the Father himself showed up in the house of King Abimelech and began to plague Abimelech, his household, his maiden, his maidservant, shut down their womb. None of them conceived because God was mad. For I don't know months or years before the king now discovered through a dream where God wanted to finish his life and kill him, and said, if you don't restore this man's wife to him, you'll be a dead man, you and all your household. That was when Abimelech now discovered that Abraham's wife Sarah was not the sister as Abraham lied. Now, you would have thought from the law of sin and death, the way we reason in Pentecostal circle or in church circle, the way we pommel people and then kill them, or what we call crucify them because of their sin. Instead of God punishing Abraham for lying, he blessed Abraham. He fought for Abraham. He actually went to destroy Abimelech for Abraham's sake. He plagued Abimelech's household. Now, did you see what happened now? The law of dedication, ownership or possession is invoked. Abraham is a covenant partner with God. He's a covenant child of God. He's a covenant minister of God. In fact, God now told Abimelech, he said, that man is a prophet. Go, let him pray for you before you are restored. You would have thought that God would have restored Abimelech after he repented. No, he said, go to Abraham, go to the lying prophet to receive your miracle, to receive your breakthrough, to receive procreation, to receive the fruit of the womb, and begin to prosper once again from your spiritual hindrance or opposition or mayhem or your spiritual struggle or nemesis. God now restored Abraham, his wife. Abimelech gave him possessions and wealth and dismissed him in peace, just because of law of ownership and dedication. Because Abraham believed God, belonged to God, is dedicated to God, is covenanted to God through the promises God made to him long before he migrated to Egypt, migrated to the Abimelech place, Gerar. Now look at it this way, child of God also. Did you notice the same thing happened to Jacob? Jacob ran away from Laban, took his wife and children and all the possession. And God met Laban, who was following after Jacob, later on Israel, to actually deal with him for taking his property, for cleaning his house, and taking his gods, which is important to him. And God told Laban, he said, don't touch this man. Don't say negative to him. Don't say positive to him. Just leave him alone. Otherwise, I will deal with you. Otherwise, I will finish you. Otherwise, I will judge you. Otherwise, I will hurt you. I will harm you. Now, you would have thought that what Jacob did was bad. He left without telling his boss, his master, his father-in-law. But God defended him. God protected him. He was not even aware that God fought for him. He was not even aware that God protected him. He was not even aware. Why? Because of bloodline covenant. He belongs to Abraham, his great-grandfather. His father is Isaac. Now, the third generation. You see how generational curses and blessings work together. Now, because of that generational blessing, because of that covenant, because of that contractor agreement, because of God's covering, because of that positive, godly, righteous dedication and ownership and possession by God, the Lord God Almighty, the true owner of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God delivered him. God protected him. God shielded him. God overrode punishment, overrode death, overrode struggle, overrode mayhem, overrode onslaught of the enemy. This law is so important again that we see the same example in Nebuchadnezzar, who came to Jerusalem and carted away the utensils, the cup, the jug, the mug, the thing they used to worship God in the temple of Jerusalem. These are golden vessels. And when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Jerusalem, he took away all the booties. He took spoils. He took the gold. He took everything in the temple and went to Babylon together with the captives, the children of Israel, some of them, majority. But do you know what happened? God didn't say anything because God allowed it. It was a form of judgment. But no sooner that Nebuchadnezzar was away for whatever reason, or when he was eating grass like an oxen, his grandson Belshazzar Some people say it's his son, but I think it's the grandson, who's supposed to sit on the throne because he was the second ruler. And that time I still believe that Nebuchadnezzar was probably alive. It was when he was banished to eat grass like oxen. Well, according to history books, he was the one that built the hanging garden of Babylon. But look at what happened. Belshazzar threw a party, invited his girlfriends and concubines, invited his friends and well-wishers and significant others. They went and brought all the utensils, all the jars, all the mug, all the sacred things from the altar of Jerusalem that the father brought in from Jerusalem but kept in Babylon. The father was at least wise enough not to mess with God's utensils or vessels or things dedicated to the worship of God. But Belshazzar, being spiritually ignorant or being spiritual or spiritually recalcitrant or spiritually ignoramus, went and brought the vessels of God, the utensils of God, the sacred vessels, the holy vessels, the uncommon vessels from Jerusalem that father kept away in safekeeping. When he brought it out, he began to praise the God of silver, the God of gold, the God of wood, the God of iron, and all that evil spirits, evil forces, or strange gods that are no gods. When he did that, a handwriting wrote immediately on the wall, Mene Mene Tekel Upharsin, which was to be interpreted that you've been found wanting, you'll be weighed on the balance, and you'll be found wanting, and your kingdom has been taken, divided, and given to the Medes and Persians. And the Bible said that night, after Daniel interpreted the dream, Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, was murdered in cold blood. Now, look at it this way. Because those vessels were God's, they belong to the Lord God Almighty. They belong to the supreme King of the universe. They belong to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. They belong to the ultimate author of authors. They belong to our God. God was not happy. Did you notice that anytime God said, I'm a jealous God, idolatry is involved. His people deviated. They were worshiping other gods. They were worshiping idols. They were worshiping strange altars. They were worshiping altars that are evil, that are ungodly, that are uncalled for. And anytime there's idolatry, it's spiritual adultery. God sees it as challenge to him. God is so mad. God is so unhappy. This happened anywhere God sees idol. Because the first commandment is you should not have any other God beside God. You should not be possessed or be claimed by any other God, person, personality, entity, no matter who. That's why God doesn't share his glory with any man, with any God. And apart from the Lord, all other gods are idols. So when God saw that his people, and it doesn't matter who, once you belong to God, whether you are covenant Israel, you're a Christian, you're a believer, you're a minister, it doesn't matter your title, spiritual laws are the same, spiritual protocols are the same, spiritual principles behind practice are the same. Whenever God sees anybody whatsoever worshiping an idol, God gets so angry, so mad. God is so unhappy. God's wrath and judgment is showcased almost immediately. The same thing happened in Israel. Whenever they worship Baal, God will say, why are you worshiping any other God? If God is God, follow him. If Baal is Baal, follow Baal. And God will bring challenges. We call it altar versus altar. His superior, righteous, powerful, overriding, supreme altar will begin to fight the evil altar of filth, of wickedness, strange altar of witchcraft, because any power that emanates from strange altar is witchcraft. It's abhorrent, it's diabolical, it's not biblical, it's evil, it's hindering, it's wretchedness, because the Bible says visiting iniquity of children upon the third, fourth, at least third and fourth generation. That is a period of 400 years, so to speak, if you calculate a generation to be 100 years. Now, what is visiting iniquity? And that translation says punishing the people. So a lot of times people are going through problems because of generational curses, because of idolatry, especially people from African background. Also people from any other background. I've seen people from European ancestry suffer the same thing because their grandfather were slave traders, were slave raiders, were slave masters. Some of them killed the Red Indians and took over their land, spilled blood, fought them, took over their possession, raped them, destroyed their land and took over. So that's why every time you see one disaster or the other in America, some of these things are generational causes. Sometimes we call it tsunami, sometimes we call it tornado, sometimes we call it all kinds of hurricane or cyclone. We give it names, but it's because of this tragedy. Sometimes it's flood, overflowing his bank. But these things are demons in the tribe. They are form of generational curses on a larger scope, of a broader scope. So God is always unhappy when anything goes against his supremacy. In fact, he uses the word, I'm a jealous God. Why is he jealous? Because idolatry, worship of another God, is spiritual idolatry. God is jealous. You are jealous when you protect your own, when you don't want somebody to take what belongs to you, or what is dedicated to you, or what is your wife, or what is your husband, or what is your possession, or what is your belonging, or what appertained to you, or what has been given to you, or what has been covenanted to you or signed to you. Now, if you understand this, you discover that anywhere God uses the word jealous, there's idolatry involved, either with his people or with believers, or with people that's supposed to be covenanted to him, that you're supposed to be married to, because your husband is your maker. But God is a good husband. God covenants in that case to bless us, to elevate us, to protect us, to increase us, to honor us, to promote us, to make us excel, to make us walk in our covenant rights and privileges in Christ, to make us walk in his perfect will and in his glory. So, child of God, this is why this law is amazing. That law is very, very powerful. We'll come again to talk about this law, not just in terms of possession, in terms of marriage, in terms of sacred things, including tithes and offering, because they are part of worship. And you cannot worship God without glory, and you cannot glorify God without honoring him as deity, as number one. That's why anytime anybody or anything compete with God, God is angry. God said he's a jealous God, because any other God is an idol. God bless you. And this is why when people have idolatry in their background, or any form of generational curse,